In multimedia networking, basically we are going to talk about how to do audio and video. So there are three protocols for that, for those: RTSP, RTP, and SIP, and that's what they are going to do. Basically, those three protocols for audio and video. So, what is a multimedia? Multimedia could be either stored or live. Stored means like movies. They could be streamed, or live is always have to be streamed, or and so if it is stored, then you can do rewind, fast forward, and so on and so forth. But if it is live, just such as in a video conferencing, then you cannot do. You cannot do rewind. The reason you cannot do rewind is because if you do rewind, you will lose something, whatever is coming ahead. So anyway. So there are two kinds, live and stored. And if it is stored, then you can decide when to play. So when you get something from YouTube, it doesn't start right up front. It starts to buffer some things. Once it has buffered enough, then it starts, because once it starts, it doesn't want to stop in the middle. Right? So it buffers enough depending upon the delay and delay variation, and then it starts playing out. So that is called the play out delay. That is called the play out buffer. All right. So high data rate to small number, large number of users, and generally the video and audio is multicast. Although it can be P2P, but mostly it is multicast, and therefore we use the delay jitter control by caching. So the data is stored just like we said in the play out buffer, and we will have example of the play out buffer. And so the same thing is used for internet telephony, voice conferencing, and so on and so forth. In general, the guideline for the telephony is that the delay should be less than 400 milliseconds. If it is more than 400 milliseconds, then you get interruptions. In the sense that if I am speaking, and if it takes more than 400 milliseconds, you would, people will not, wait, less, then they, after every sentence, so the delay is more than 400 milliseconds, then it sounds bad, like satellite. Some of you might have seen the satellite connections. If you get on a telephone on a satellite, then somebody says something and you listen to it, and then basically you might collide with them in the sense that it is taking so long for their voice to come to you. Okay, what does multicast mean? Multicast means that if I want to send the same message to certain number of people, many people, then I do multicast. For example, if let's say this is a big city and I want to give a lecture over wireless, WiMAX, whatever it is, and only these people want to listen to my lecture, other people want to listen to some other lecture, so I may multicast mine to the class of 473 at WashU, whereas somebody may give another lecture at the same time and multicast to class of 571 at WashU.
But how do we get it?
So everybody has to join the multicast. Basically, there are so many multicasts going on right now on the internet, and then you could say to your router that I want to join a multicast which is destined to this address, multicast address, and then the router will look for those messages and send it to you. It might ask its other router that, okay, we are looking for any messages going to this multicast address, and they might tell you other and so on and so forth. All right. So on the internet, the problem is, first of all, we have best effort service. Best effort means some things will make it, something will not make it, no guarantees. TCP cannot be used because if you have to retransmit, the packet may take 15 retransmissions and that might be too late. So we cannot use TCP. And another thing about the multimedia is that if you lose something, people can make it out, no big deal. Suppose data is coming to you, a check from your bank, and they lose a zero out of it. Would you like it? No. So if they add it, it's okay, but taking it out is bad, right? If I'm the payee. But on the voice, if they are sending out a voice and they lost a letter of symbol, a syllable, nobody cares, right? Our eyes and ears are very forgiving. In fact, eyes are very forgiving. Ears are a little bit less forgiving. So the sound has to be good quality, but the video can be very poor quality. In fact, all the video that you are watching today is very poor quality. When YouTube is really bad quality, right? And you know that, right? Because otherwise you won't go to movies theaters. And so that is really good quality. So, on the internet, we can have packet loss, we can have bit loss actually, and packet jitter is smooth by buffering. So the delay is not guaranteed, but the way we guarantee it by buffering enough beforehand. And we really need some guarantees on the throughput, delay, and the jitter. So if you want to design a real technology, then you would say, well, I want a minimum of 10 megabits on my network path. I want the delay jitter to be less than that, or not be plus minus 1 millisecond. And this is all done with ATM, but didn't succeed, so it's all gone. So now we are stuck with IP, which only gives you soft guarantee. Soft guarantee means, at best, you just get what you are going to get with high quality, with high probability, but not guarantees. Protocol for bandwidth reservation and traffic description. So what we have done on IP is we have developed new protocols, and we'll talk about them. Actually, we are not going to talk about them. That you can send a message saying that I want 10 megabits. Okay, and if the router understands that, this protocol is called RSVP, and we are not going to talk about RSVP in this course. So you can send a message which reserves the bandwidth for you. So protocol for bandwidth reservation and traffic description, and you can say I want to send audio over it. Scheduling to honor bandwidth reservation, and then the routers will schedule your packet so that you are guaranteed your 10 megabits, you get it. High bandwidth, and you need really high bandwidth for that, and content distribution networks and Akamai. So because of that, what we have done is we have now content distribution networks, CDN. Akamai. How many people know Akamai? Anybody heard of it? Okay, Akamai is a company. What they do is they go to every other company that wants to send video or audio, or actually nothing to do with the audio video, any web page. They will store it at 1500 places in the world. So your users can get that web page very short time and very fast from local copy. That's all they do. They do caching on the internet. They have lots of servers, lots of places, and if you are a business who wants to give very fast response to your users, you give your data to them. They are all proxy servers, yeah. And actually, they basically, the web page. Having said that, I feel a little bit wrong here, because the data, original data does not stay right there. The data is cached by them, and when you go and you get it, they are really the original server now in this case. So the main problem is what happens if the data changes. And the idea is that the data doesn't change. The data, if it changes, you give them the process that changes the data. So that's why some people cannot use it. For example, banks cannot use it because your balance is changing every second, and so they will not give it to you. But some things don't change. For example, YouTube videos don't change. They can easily be put on Akamai. Right? So if it is a static data, it can be put on Akamai, content distribution network. Yeah. What is the delay jitter? Good question. So if my delay is 5 seconds, so you can buffer 5 seconds, you are done. Right? But if the delay is sometimes 4, sometimes 6, sometimes 3, that variation is called the jitter. Okay? So you need to know the delay and you need to know the jitter. Because play out cannot be with jitter. Play out has to be continuous and smooth. So you really have to estimate both. What is the mean and what is the standard deviation, if you want to understand that way. Right? Jitter has to do with the standard deviation, the variation. Alright. Now, both audio and video are compressed. What compression means, generally it is a lossy compression. They throw out some bits right at the front, at the source. Alright? When we speak, the telephone company did a test when they started digital voice. Then they asked people to speak, and then they digitized it, and they found that most people are okay with 8 bits per 8 bits encoding per 8 bits per hertz, and everybody is happy with 4 kilohertz. Sorry, first they find out how many kilohertz they need for people to speak, to understand. At 4 kilohertz, people were happy. All right. 4 kilohertz is good for voice, but not good for music. If you hear music at 4 kilohertz, it will sound very bad. But it will sound more like my voice. But if you hear 28 kilobits, then it will sound like some real nice singer or something. So you really want to, so the hard is differentiate what quality it is, right? So they decided that 4 kilohertz audio is good enough. And if you sample that at twice the rate, which means 800 samples per second, and each sample is 8 bits, you get 64 kilobits. So that is the standard telephone voice, 64 kilobits. And that's what the telephone company was sending up until the cell phones came around. When the cell phones came around, they said 64 kilobit is too much. We can't give you 64 kilobit, we will give you 4 kilobits. How about 4 kilobits? So that's what you're getting on the cell phone. Sometimes you can figure out what the other guy is saying, and sometimes you can't figure out what they're saying. You're getting 4 kilobits. So how they get from 64 to 4? They compress the voice. And there are many standards for compression. And the standard, one number you should always remember, and this one I remember, and anybody who does anything with multimedia has to remember, G.711. 711. Is there a store like that? I forget. So G.711 is the standard compression, means no compression. Basically 64 kilobit voice. Yeah, this is, so when you get a voice, the other side will say, I'm going to send you G.711. You say fine, that means there is no compression. Alright? If they say I'm going to sell you G.729, they're going to take that and convert into 8 kilobits, 23, 64 kilobits, and so on and so forth. Alright, so I can't remember the other G numbers, but G.711 we remember. Okay? Now, cell phones, GSM cell phone use 13 kilobits, that is the older one. The newer ones even go to 5 kilobits. Alright? CDs, which are where you need the music use 700 kilobits mono and 1.4 megabit stereo. Alright, so now you understand the compression, that if you really want to do good quality, this is what you need, but you are not going to get that not on the cell phone, so you get few kilobits. Alright? G is actually the committee in ITU. ITU has committee A, I mean actually they may not call committee, they may call it groups or something, A to X. So G does this audio compression, and their standards are called G.711, 729 and all that. You may forget all the G numbers, but G.711 you have to remember all the time. Video compression also, nowadays it is so common, everybody knows that there are MPEG-4, MPEG-1, MPEG-2, MPEG-3 and all that. MPEG stands for Motion Picture Expert Group. Again, there is an ITU group which works on video. Alright? And actually it's not just ITU, it is combined with another organization, so this is actually somewhat separate. And so therefore they don't use just A, B, C, D, H numbers. They have their names with MPEG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on. I think they are up to MPEG 7 by now. So MPEG 1 was the initial standard, the simplest standard, which produced CD quality video at 1.5 megabits. MPEG 2 was a better quality DVD quality video at 3 megabits, and MPEG 4 is actually lower rate but high quality. So that's the interesting part with MPEG 4. The quality is good, but the rate is low. You get, so if you see the extension like MP4 or DIVX, that means that the rate may not be very high, the files may not be very big, but they are good quality. Okay? And then there is a standard called H.261. By the letter H, you can see that there is a pure ITU standard, and what that standard is, actually is going to come up later on, is more of a set of things that you have to do to get video quality. Alright, so these are all the video standards. Now, when you want to transmit video over the wireless or wired network, nowadays we do so much wireless video that, wired video is almost like, we don't even think about. But wireless so much, is that you could have a streaming video. A streaming video means something that is being sent to you as it is being, basically, streaming video, most of the video today is streaming. There are two ways. You could just get the video file and then play it locally, that is not streaming. On the other hand, you could get it while watching it. That is streaming. Now, while watching it, the video could be real time, in which case you are talking to somebody and you're looking at their face. As they move their face, you see it moving. That is live streaming. But much of the video is not live streaming, it is stored streaming. The movie is stored there and you are watching it. In that case, for stored streaming, you need a totally new different set of protocols. Because in the stored streaming, you might want to rewind. In the live video, you cannot rewind it. But in the stored video, you might want to rewind and fast forward and so on and so forth, right? Just like you do on a tape. So we need a streaming protocol. And you might need a streaming server. So they have two kinds of server, a web server, which is a normal HTTP server, or a streaming server, which was initially designed by Real Media. And now basically everybody has it. So basically a streaming server. So your request, when you get a page which says, okay, I want to watch a video, and it might be a YouTube video or whatever, is that the page has, most of it is HTTP. Inside that there is some media, a special media. That window might be getting the data from a streaming server. Okay, so YouTube might have a special server which can allow you to do everything that you want to do, rewinding, forward, waiting and all that, streaming media. So you might have different server. Although sometimes people have just one server, and then you really don't get streaming with this. If you just have a web server, then what you get is the whole file. If suppose you go to my website, you can't really stream on my website because CSC does not have a streaming server. You just have to download the whole thing and watch it, right? So that's the thing. All right. So the real-time streaming protocol is designed for streaming, and this is the one that allows you to start, stop, pause, fast forward, and rewind a stream. And so it has two channels, a data channel and a control channel. Why data channel, control channel? Data channel is what you are watching, control channel is what you are pressing the button on your remote control, right? If you are saying reverse, that is a control command. And so those go on a control channel, and when the movie comes in, that comes on the data channel. All commands are sent on the control channel, which is port 544, and the protocol is specified like this. You can say RTSP, which is the real-time streaming protocol, //. That is the name of the media. You could get the media from the web server, like I said, but in that case, you really will not get all the facilities that you get with the streaming server. You can go back and forth. You'll get the whole file. The streaming server is designed to give you basically piece by piece as you need. And this one is not designed for that, although having said all this, everything is being mixed up nowadays. So you could have a web server which understands streaming, and you could have a browser which understands streaming. So this is how basically the functionality was different, or it was designed to be different. Web server is simple HTTP command. You say get and it gives you response. Period. Done. But a streaming server, you can say stop, rewind, forward. All right. Now whether your server can do this, it's quite possible they can. All right. So here are the commands for RTSP. To the web server, all you can say is get. To here you can say set up, play, pause, stop, tear down. So all the commands, all the buttons that are on a remote control at home for DVR can be sent over a network. RTSP allows you to do that over a network. Basically, it has commands, just like your button. But RTSP as a standard, when it says pause, it will, if nothing else, the client will pause. Now, whether the server keeps sending, whether the pause is sent to the server, could depend upon the client's smartness. Client could say, well, I should still keep 3 seconds ahead anyway, just in case you come back. For live streaming, buffering is not possible. I mean, like in the sense that the more buffering you do, the more unlive it will be. So suppose you are talking on the phone to your mom, and then suddenly she says, "I'm coming," and then you hear after 1 second, that doesn't look good at all. I mean, so thing is, it has to be immediate. Or there is a control channel. Basically, the thing is, control channel has a different purpose. It's like even in the HTTP, the channels are mixed up, but this is a control command. Get is a control, right? And this is not, but the data is here. So similarly, in the live streaming, there is a session setup. When you do what you call FaceTime, when you do FaceTime, that is live streaming. So it takes few seconds to get it connected and to both sides to get ready. But after that, basically you disconnect. So there is control channel. All right. So all these commands are there in that protocol. And so here is the sample protocol. So you might send a command, and this is basically they selected just like HTTP, an ASCII protocol. So you can read the messages. The message might be set up RTSP : RTSP/1.0. So this is saying that set up this media using this protocol. Transport. I want to use RTP and UDP with compression, port number 3056. And play. Then this is the client says. Server says, okay, 1.0 is okay, and my session is 4231. Then it says, client says, play that other media and range. Start from beginning. All right, it could have said range. Start from 1 hour. Then it says pause and session and range. So it pauses the session, that one, right? And then tear down. The connection is tear down. So these are basically examples of the commands, how they are sent. They are basically English commands. Okay? All right, so that is all about RTSP.